The wolf predator was a very skilled and experienced Yautja who, instead of hunting, specialised in cleanup missions to remove all traces of their species' existence and making sure their technology does not fall into the wrong hands, a highly important job entrusted to only the most elite of Yautja. He was an accomplished Xenomorph Hunter and even bared scarring on his face from their acidic blood. He had a lot of scar tissue on the left side of his face, with one of his mandibles melted off, and was blind in one eye. He had the common yellow-beige skin colour seen on most Yautja, and had a more ornate structure of spikes around the top of his head and extra tusks around his mandibles, probably an indication that he was very mature and fairly advanced in age, but not as old as an elder, as his hair was still black. He was probably a middle-aged Yautja. Wolf had more of a slender, wiry build to him, and stood at 7 feet and 8 inches tall. He was very fast, mobile and strong, able to overpower even multiple xenomorphs at the same time with seemingly little effort. His rank within the Predator's society was an elite, meaning he is very experienced and proficient in killing xenomorphs, humans and other dangerous species, maybe even super predators. Elites are among the most skilled and seasoned Yautja and are very dangerous combatants. Wolf's biomask shared many similarities to the one worn by City Hunter, with a very similar shape. However, it did differ in some areas, being silver grey in colour and had a row of thorns around the outer edge, with rune-like inscriptions on the forehead written in the Predator language. He had silver-coloured armour matching his biomask. Wolf is a veteran honourable warrior who closely follows the Yautja honour code, only killing people if they are armed or could otherwise pose a threat to himself or reveal his existence, not killing helpless people or children. He is likely very respected and distinguished within Yautja society. In his lair, he is seen to possess a large collection of trophies from many different species, numerous different biomasks, and a throne overlooking a valley on a Yautja settlement, either on their home world, Yautja Prime, or a colony. He is also shown to own a large arsenal of weapons and equipment, including the standard Predator wrist blades, plasma caster, combi sticks, smart discs, medicomp and cloaking technology, as well as the previously unseen razor whip, constructed from a xenomorph tail used for wrapping around enemies and slicing them into pieces. Being made out of parts from a xenomorph body, it won't be damaged by acid. Laser mines, which once adhered to a surface, will project a crosshatch of focused laser beams used to trap xenomorphs inside a kill zone set up by the Predator, and will also cut through them if they make contact with the beams. The Power Punch Glove, also called the Steel Wrist Shield, an extension of the wrist gauntlet, forming brass knuckles, enabling the user enough force to smash holes through concrete, used for creating passages. A cleaner case containing tools used to clean up areas of evidence of both the Yautja's existence and of xenomorph infestations. The cleaner case houses a blue-coloured dissolving liquid which will vaporise anything organic it touches, removing all traces of it, used for disposing of human bodies and xenomorph remains. A syringe used for extracting samples of DNA to then be injected into the Predator's wrist computer, which will then analyse it and give the Predator's mask a new vision mode for tracking that creature, as well as an inbuilt self-destruct device, different from the ones built into the Predator's wrist gauntlet, which instead of an explosion causes an implosion to affect a smaller, more concentrated area more discreetly, such as a downed Predator scout ship. The Wolf Predator also crafted a custom-built plasma pistol by combining parts of his dual shoulder-mounted plasma casters when they became damaged, serving as a handheld plasma caster, manually aimed and fired like a pistol. After the Predator mothership left Earth, the Pred alien emerged from Scar's body and made its way to a scout ship that separated from the main vessel, where it proceeded to start killing all the Predators on board. Being alerted by his clan brother's shrieks, a Predator by the name of Bull panicked and opened fire on it, missing and causing a hull breach, causing it to crash in Gunnison, Colorado, USA. As he saw a number of facehuggers on board escaping, and knowing the Pred alien was still loose, an injured Bull activated a distress beacon just before being finished off by the Pred alien. The signal was picked up by Wolf, who promptly gathered his hunting tools and cleaner case and set off in his ship for Earth. When he landed, the Wolf Predator entered the downed vessel and paid respect to his fallen comrades, then accesses a recording from Bull's biomask, finding out a Pred alien is responsible and that a Xenomorph infestation of the nearby area is imminent. Wolf then collects a sample of the fluid from the facehugger's cryotubes and injects it into his wrist gauntlet, giving him a new vision mode to track them, takes a plasma caster he finds, giving himself two, and triggers the self-destruct device to remove all traces of the scout ship, and sets off to take care of the Xenomorphs. Having just used his dissolving liquid on a couple of human bodies which were hosts to Xenomorphs, Wolf is spotted by a police deputy, but kills him before he can get away and reveal Wolf's presence, skinning and hanging the man from a tree to warn off other humans. Tracking the facehuggers to a sewer, Wolf deployed several laser mines, dividing the tunnels into sections where he could deal with the Xenomorphs without being overrun or allowing them to escape. Wolf had just taken care of a few aliens, but was attacked from behind by the Pred alien and knocked off his feet, and a stray plasma caster blast opened up an opening for the Pred alien to escape out of. He then used his power punch glove to open up a hole into the streets above and pursued the aliens. Wolf tracked one of the Xenomorphs to the town's power station, where he missed with his plasma caster and accidentally damaged the station, cutting power to the entire town. Later at the swimming pool of a local high school, he dispatched another Xenomorph and disposed of it alongside a human it had recently killed. At a gun shop, Wolf killed some more aliens and two humans with his dual plasma casters, as well as indirectly killing another human by shooting another Xeno and its acid blood dripping onto its face. After this encounter, Wolf's plasma casters had become damaged, and he integrated them both together to make a handheld plasma pistol. He then proceeded to the hospital where the Pred alien had started to create a hive. There he killed even more Xenomorphs and accidentally killed another human with one of his smart discs. Wolf was then distracted by one of the other humans shooting at him, and an alien lunged at him and pushed him down an elevator shaft. On the roof of the hospital, as the surviving humans were taking off in a helicopter, Wolf punches a hole in the roof with his power punch glove and emerges, taking care of the last of the drones and squaring up to the Pred alien. The two monsters scuffle, but the Pred alien proves to be a formidable opponent, with his weapons pretty much useless against the abomination and his biomask damaged. Wolf discards them and proceeds to fight the beast barehanded. Wolf fights bravely, but the Pred alien is larger and stronger and starts to take control of the fight, but as it tries to headbutt Wolf, he dodges it and grabs its inner jaw and rips it out, then rams his wrist blades through the Pred alien's head, but then it impales Wolf through his body from behind, and the two are locked in a standoff, both killing each other. At that point, a fighter jet sent by the military drops a nuke on the town, wiping out all traces of the incident in the blast, including the surviving humans, the Xenomorphs, and the Wolf Predator. So the Wolf Predator was one of my favourite Predators out of all the films. I like how he is an elite, unlike the first AVP film where they were all just young bloods, and how he had lots of new and different weapons and equipment too, such as him having two plasma casters. He was a really badass Predator, and a lot of people say he was the saving grace of AVPR, myself included. The name Wolf is actually a reference to the film Pulp Fiction, named after a character named Winston Wolfe, who is a cleaner who cleans up evidence at crime scenes. I remember before AVPR came out, and I was really excited for it, and I used to look on the website for it and on Google trying to find out any info for it I could, and I remember watching some leaked footage of the throne scene, and it had the music from Predator 1. I'm guessing that was there just as a placeholder until the actual score was done. And I also remember watching the gun store scene online too. One part I've always seen a lot of discussion over was how he killed that policeman who saw him and was running away. People said that was a bit out of character for a Predator to do that, and I kinda agree, but at the same time he was there to do a job and make sure no one found out about his species or the Xenomorphs. And then why would he skin him and hang him up if he was trying to not arouse suspicion? I think that was either just bad writing, or they just wanted to get the skinning bodies reference in there and didn't really care about logic, and it probably just wasn't meant to be analysed so closely. One deleted scene was actually going to be where Wolf goes into the crashed scout ship. There was going to be skinned Predator bodies hanging up, so like the Predalien skin them like a Predator would. I'm glad they cut this though, as I think that doesn't really make sense. The Xenomorphs only take physical traits, not behavioural ones. Like, you don't see regular Xenomorphs acting like humans. Something else as well was that people were wondering why he'd fight the Predalien hand to hand to test his strength, or like the Predalien earned his respect like Dutch in the first film. But to me it didn't look like he was doing that, because you'll notice he did use his weapons at first, but they didn't do much good. Like, his whip got yanked out of his hand, and then his combi stick didn't do much good either, and his mask got damaged. That's why he unmasked himself. To me it looked more like he was like, if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself, in regards to fighting the Predalien, if that makes sense. I always planned to cover the Wolf Predator, but I decided to move it up a bit in the schedule as I had a comment requesting it. So I hope you enjoyed my video about the Wolf Predator. If you did, make sure you click the thumbs up button, and you can subscribe as well if you aren't already, if you're interested in future videos. I cover a lot of other topics like Alien, Predator and more. Then why not leave me a comment saying what you thought about the Wolf Predator and AVPR. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.